at the source at Sweet Home. We're beginning to videotape. I'm standing next to the biggest tree I can find, sure that Dee planted this with his own hands.
One of the things we observe about the site is there is a lot of damage to the older trees, many of which have been removed by now, and this was confirmed by the neighbor, Mr. Dwight Irvin, who led us over from his house just about a quarter-mile down the road. We're walking over toward the site of the actual original home, which is evidenced by the depression in the ground there.
And here we are looking at the original home site. About all we see now is a slight depression in the land there. We're at the bottom of the bluff, still a little bit above the floodplain.
We're standing right in the center of the depression where the foundation used to be. Mr. Irvin had explained to us that indeed when the home was torn down about 50 years ago, it had never been leveled out ground, and that's why he was able to clearly identify that place for us. He had been a long-term resident and remembered what the house looked like when he moved in more than 50 years ago. Those trees, we presume, were amongst the many trees planted on the site by D.D. Palmer. There's not too much left of the really old trees anymore, but we're fairly certain that those were amongst the non-indigenous trees that he planted. He also planted quite a few cedar, and we can see a row of cedar over here to your left that possibly are amongst the remains of the seedlings put in by D.D. Palmer. And then if you look past those trees off into the distance, even from the flat land where we're standing in the house yard, you can see there was quite a nice view off into the distance of the Mississippi River Valley, and then the hills on the opposite side being the Iowa side of the river.
And he also referred to it, the bottom part of this land is the sloughs, which was floodplain for the river. And there's even one recorded incident in his journal where there was a big flood and water actually came up to these lowlands down below us here.
Yeah, the comment in the DD's journal was that that was the highest that water had ever been known to come up by whites settled in the area. Okay, what I'm looking for now on the top of the hill is that we understand that D.D. Palmer buried a dead child up here, would have been a half-sister to B.J. Palmer, and we're looking for any evidence of the grave that might be still in existence up at the top of the hill now. Way off behind me you can see that there was quite a beautiful view of the Mississippi River Valley here. And though the hill didn't look quite so large down below, having just come up to the top, it's quite a little hike, and we're all just a little bit winded from making the climb. We've searched extensively, and we have probed the ground here at the top of the hill, looking for any evidence of the gravesite. Ultimately, we did find some brick shard, and just below the surface located this large stone, which we have now leveled and cleaned the site some, in the possibility that this may have been a marker of some sort originally. Well, we're at the top of the Sweet Home site, and we've explored and we've taken some raspberry that...
what we hope to be black raspberries.
We believe these are descendants of the Sweet Home raspberry, and we'll take them home and try to nurse them into big raspberries. And so we're going to go on back down the hill to the flat where D.D. Palmer's house was now, and see what else is around that's of interest. Here we are at the flat land below the hillside, looking off toward Iowa and the Mississippi River. Over here is a modern house that has been built in front of the land of D.D. Palmer, and looking at the raise of land, that is the site where D.D. Palmer's home was. And we showed the depression in the ground, and then of course the hill that goes up much more steeply in back of it. the location of the road was actually here where this driveway is now, as opposed to the blacktop that we came up on over there. From the bottom of the hillside, we believe that the gate going into D.D. Palmer's home would have been right here where there's a gradual slope, as the area from where the original road here is much more steep. Over here we can see where there's quite a few raspberries planted in the flat, an old windmill here that probably came after the time of D.D. Palmer, but perhaps the same well site, and then a little ravine with a creek down here at the bottom, which was a likely source of water for the horticultural activities. Here we are back on the Iowa side of the Mississippi, looking from Muscatine toward Illinois, panning back to the community of Muscatine, where we know that D.D. Palmer at one time was a school teacher. Down the audio track over here.
Presently or afterward? Yeah.
Beautiful morning, September 18th, Founders Day,
1997.
1997. We're here to dedicate a memorial stone to Sweet Home, D.D.'s 10 acres, where he had his apiary and nursery. We're leaving this for posterity so future chiropractors and chiropractors-to-be can come appreciate this.
Speech making. I'm going to recommend that we walk before we carry.
Let's decide.
Okay, Charlene said voted for the spot right here. The geography of where we're placing the granite marker to indicate the site of Sweet Home. The roadway right over here to my right is where the road in front of D.D. Palmer's home used to run. Off to the right side here of the screen is where we suspect the gateway to D.D. Palmer's land was, just up on the short rise here behind the marker.
I'd just like to say that I'm thankful for D.D.'s willingness to not only become educated, but to make that education become wisdom by putting it to work in his life. And all of our lives have been touched by what he did. So I'm thankful for a chance to be here, being part of this memory.
Okay.
You're so demanding.
Myron. Sir.